I got to step into my power so that I can empower more women who were struggling just like I was.
So earlier in my career, I wish somebody would have told me that not everybody wants to see me win. Not everybody was going to be by my side. I had to learn to be my biggest cheerleader, to be the person to go out there and step out of my comfort zone and do new things, try new things, because not everybody is going to be supportive.
Guess what? You're not in it alone, because there's tons of women out there that are struggling just like you who want to be there to support you.
Hey everyone, welcome back to You Are Meant for More. My name is Francine Ayala, and I'm so excited for you to hear from our guest today. Yeni Hercules is a licensed marriage and family therapist, and her and I just connected, and we were just like, so many people need to know what childhood trauma does to them. And, that is my passion. That is my goal. Everybody needs to know that it affects us in such a larger capacity than we are even aware of. And so I had to bring her on and bring this amazing information to you. But first, let me go ahead and introduce her to you all. And so she is a licensed marriage and family therapist focusing on the efforts of childhood trauma. She has a BA in interdisciplinary art with a focus on labor studies from Dominguez Hills University and a master's degree in counseling, which focuses on the marriage, family, and child therapy from the University of Phoenix. She is the founder and CEO of Yen Wellness Family Counseling. Having served on several boards that focus on empowering women, she became an author of a book called I Am Marlene, Healing Your Inner Child, available in Spanish too. She has multiple certifications in mental well-being and is a former Army reservist. So please help me welcome Miss Yeni Hercules. And I pray I'm saying that right. Hey, love, how are you?
Good. How about you?
I'm doing well. Thank you so much for joining us today. There's obviously you and I connected, and we were just like, this information definitely needs to reach a larger audience. We got to get it out there so that people are more aware of how childhood trauma is really affecting their overall well-being, their mental well-being, their emotionally, physically. And so I thought it was so important, obviously, that you were able to come on and share this. So thank you so much for being here. I appreciate you.
Well, thank you. Thank you for giving me this space to talk about something that is my passion, mental health. So thank you.
Of course, of course. So let's go ahead and dive into this. There's so much that you and I have been talking about and been sharing, and we're going to try to hit all the topics. But let's go ahead and start with you first. How we got to know, how we got to know who you are, what you're doing, how you came to be a licensed marriage and family therapist. Like, tell me what that looked like for you.
Well, I had a rough childhood. And when I was, I think, around my 30s, I
Okay.
decided to go back to school, get my master's. And I've been in group therapy for a long time, not so much in individual therapy, but in group therapy for a very long time, since I'm 15. So support groups, group therapy, different groups. And that led me to, well, why don't I become a therapist? So I went back, got my master's, did my hours, and here I am 12 years after I graduated from school. But it was a personal journey. It was because I was feeling depressed, I was feeling anxious, and I didn't know why. And that why moved me to decide to know more about myself. And now that I have all this information, how can I take it to my community? A lot of our community members think that mental health doesn't exist. Like, what are you talking about? Mental illness. What is that? That's not true. So
Yeah.
it's just about education. It's just about getting to where they're at, meeting them where they at. So that's what I do.
Yeah, exactly. So, I don't want to get too, I mean, I know you want to share, but I mean, I don't know to the capacity of which you want to share about what you've experienced in your own space, because I know so many people go through that type of trauma, and then obviously this is your passion to be able to get them out of that, because and you've experienced. So if you don't mind touching a little bit about your own experience, of
Mhm.
like what you went through.
Well, everything it's in my book. My book, I am Marlene, Healing Your Inner Child. Marlene, it's my second name. So it's basically a little bit about me personally, but also I give you like key points to how you start healing yourself. Um, the book is a self help book, but it's just the beginning. I talk a lot about um, different alternatives like oils, meditation, different other things that we can do to start our healing process.
Hmm.
So I tell my story in that book. Um, my dad was assassinated when I was 4 in El Salvador during the Civil War. My mom left me when I was 8 years old with my grandma for 2 years in El Salvador. She came to this country first. Then, when I was 10, I moved to the United States. There was a lot of bullying. I grew up from 10 on in South Central LA. So there was a lot of bullying from African American teenagers. Um, what can I tell? Oh, I was sexually molested. Um, when I was about 12.
Yeah.
So I had the perfect scenario for someone not to make it. Everything was there for me, but I chose differently. So it's
Mm,
about choices, it's about what you can accomplish, what you decide every day. And those groups, self help groups, those um, that helped me so much because I was
yeah.
there since I was 15. So that gave me a different perspective in life. And I
Yeah.
think I was one of the youngest one in those groups. Usually there were females from 30, 40 at that time. So I was one of the youngest. But I was
Hmm.
so eager to learn, to make a difference in myself first and in my community.
Wow, that's amazing. So you went into a self-help group at such a young age
Hmm.
because you were so determined to switch your life around. You're like,
Hmm.
I'm not going to be the victim. I'm going to overcome everything that was basically meant to destroy you.
Hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, wow. That's amazing. And thank you for sharing because, again, yes, everyone, you can definitely find her book on Amazon. I've already checked it out and I'm looking forward to really diving deep into that book because the thing is, like, so many people have all of these different experiences and incidences that take place in their lives that shape them and they don't even realize it. So, where
Hmm.
in their timeline in their life have they been affected? And what I've learned, even as an NLP certified coach myself, I learned that people, we actually tend to keep it hidden. So our subconscious mind will keep it isolated for us to protect us. And so even understanding that there is a process in which we get to release these negative emotions and instances and experiences that we received so that we can live a healthier, better life, like living your best life, I like to say, right? So absolutely. I'm so sorry everything you had to go through, and like everybody experiences a life differently, right? So thank
Hmm.
you for sharing that and being so vulnerable and transparent about it. So, go ahead. Sorry.
No, I mean, it's just a way to tell people that if they're going through things, there is help out there. Please reach
Right.
out. Please reach out, because I do understand that when we feel uncomfortable, we tend to isolate. We don't talk to anybody. We want to be by ourselves. But I I want to reach out to those people and say, you know what? Just a phone call. You're a phone call away from
Yes.
changing that. Please reach out.
Yes, absolutely. And I'm so glad you said that, because like we can, like I almost feel like our past, or the past episodes is just really getting people to understand the process in which our, subconscious mind, our body holds on to these situations and these traumas. And it's like, we want to be there to support them. We want to be able
Mhm,
to, lift them up. And so, yeah, you said it perfectly. Please reach out,
mhm,
talk to somebody. There's people that are available to understand your story. And so thank you for really hitting that on the head, because again, there's going to be that one person. We can't share it enough, because there's going to be that one person or that one guest, that is literally going to hit somebody right here and be like, I'm ready.
mhm.
So it's so important that we share our stories, and we're constantly, transparent about who we are, who we were, and who we get to become as we evolve into this
Mhm.
journey of life, right?
Yes.
So, all right. So there's several things that you wanted to share with our audience, which I'm so grateful for. And so we're gonna go ahead and share some slides with you all. So that's gonna be fun. Now, which one did you want me to go ahead and pull up first?
The abuse and neglect.
The abuse and neglect. Okay,
Mhm.
so we're gonna show a slide, and so that she's gonna dive into what she does to basically help clients, right? To help people maneuver through the process. So let me go ahead and get us sharing. All right.
Okay. Good. Okay. So ACEs stands for Adverse Childhood Experiences. These are childhood experiences before 18. This was a study done through Kaiser back in the 90s.
Okay.
And what these studies show is that people that have trauma, childhood trauma, can lead to physical symptoms. So that's what in reality, that's what this study back in the 90s. It took about 15 years to actually come out and show us what they found. In ACEs, there are 10 categories in three different domains.
Mm,
And actually, the study was done back in 1998.
okay.
Um, so it was through Kaiser and the Center for Disease Control. And there's, like I said, three areas, three domains, which is abuse, physical abuse, emotional abuse, and sexual abuse. Then is neglect. It could be physical neglect or emotional neglect. And emotionally neglected, it's very hard. We're still, not everybody understands that. Physical, well, we kind of relate to that more, but emotional, it's not being there, not being present. Even if mom and dad, it's there in the same household, that doesn't mean you're connected with your kids for
Mhm.
any reason. I'm not pointing fingers or anything here. It's just, what the study shows. Household changes, which is mental illness, intimate partner violence, parent separation or divorce, incarceration, and substance misuse or dependence. Those are
Mhm.
the three areas, and those are the 10 different categories. So far, do you have any questions?
I mean, to me, it just really looks like, there's um, an effect that takes place when people are experiencing these as they're growing up. The household challenges are, the ones where they got to see things around them, right? So as a child, they're seeing somebody with mental illness, or they're seeing the intimate partner violence or the incarceration.
Mhm.
Am I hitting that on the nail?
Yes, it's
Okay.
seeing, it's feeling the different impact that those changes can bring.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, because they're ultimately seen. So there could be the abuse, the neglect, the household challenges in itself. And like, I mean, somebody can look at this and literally go, I've experienced it all,
Hmm.
and
Yes.
then it's like, what are they, what challenges are they presenting, today, right?
Yeah, when I did it the first time, I have 6 out of 10. So the study shows that the life expectancy of an individual with six or more, it's 19% shorter than someone that only has one. But there's
Mm.
another take. If you don't do anything about it, I mean, we're giving you, okay, this is the reality. I have six out of
Yeah.
10, but what am I doing? Am I meditating? Am I taking a walk? Am I going to therapy? What am I doing to stop all those effects in my life?
Yeah.
Reduce
Yeah.
stress. What are you doing? It's not that, okay, if this happens to you, this is gonna happen. No. I also want to tell you, okay, what other things you can do to prevent that toxic stress, those
Mm.
for all of that to damage your physical health. Uh,
Okay.
Sleep well, eating more vegetables and fruit, or we can say balanced nutrition. Physical activity, mindfulness practice, experience nature, mental health care, supportive relationships. And I am not just taking this out of the hat. It's actually the study. Anybody can research this study. It's called ACEs, and there's a website full of information what you need to do. What I mentioned is exactly what they said that we need to do to help us prevent all these toxic stress that is caused for our childhood trauma.
And it is definitely true because, like, you know, our brain is, the number one source of like where obviously everything is affected, right? It's our thoughts, it's our mental well-being of like, what we hold on to, and then it can literally trickle down to the rest of our body. And so to really understand and impact one's self, to lead a life of, power, to step into one's, power, to go after and chase everything that they've ever wanted in life, and to not be a victim to what their past has dictated to them is profound. And so you're absolutely right. Like, being able to be in your own space of power is really exercising, eating healthy, you know, um, understanding that you got to get out and outside. So many people isolate and they don't get out, and get the vitamin, D that we get from the sun. You know what I mean? But definitely, if you're in California, sunblock is needed everywhere else too. But like, man, the sun here is insane. And so but again, getting into nature, going on those walks, like, you have no idea how you get to experience life, and how even spiritually you get to connect, with your higher power, to just be in nature and just be surrounded by so much of what, the earth provides for us. So absolutely. I'm just like, wow, because the thing is, when you feed yourself bad habits, when you feed yourself bad food, it's just, it has a trickle effect, right? And so it is definitely needed, and it can't be put out there enough that you got to take care of yourself. I mean, even me, I'm like always like, okay, is that good? Is that good? Is that really going to be well for your overall mental wellness? And so I definitely understand and get that concept. And so everybody else needs to know. So now when you started to share about, the 1 out of 6 or 10 or 6 out of 10, you were talking about something in specific, which is a document that asks all the questions, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so did you want me to go ahead and share that one next?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay,
Please.
perfect. So let's go ahead and share this next document on the screen.
Yeah, and there are 10 questions, and you just, check if applies to you, and at the end, it's your score.
Okay.
So 6 or more, it's really severe. 1 to 4, it's okay. You still need to seek help, but it's okay. So anything above 6, I would really recommend you, if you have never seen a therapist or do anything. There's so many modalities out there. It doesn't need to be talk therapy. I do energy healing. I do, of course, I'm a licensed therapist, so I do a
Mm-hmm.
lot of talking. Meditation is great. And meditation, I just want to make it clear, it has nothing to do with the religion, not the way you do it to relax. Yes, there is a religion that they do it more, and they focus more on that, but it's not necessarily attached to a religion concept. It's more
Mm-hmm.
of connecting, relaxing way. And why do I bring this up? Because I do have clients that sometimes they say like, no, it's again my religion, and I respect that. I work with clients however they want. So
Mm-hmm.
affirmations, I love affirmations. This morning, I woke up and I did my affirmations. It's very important. Affirmation, mantras, but just have that connection that would help you so much. So
Mm-hmm.
I would tell you, if somebody wants this questionnaire, it's online at ACES Aware, or they can send me a text or email, and I provide that questionnaires just for you guys to know. And I know in the LA County, because this is where I work mainly, this questionnaire, let me back up a little bit. A lot of the clinics and
Mm-hmm.
hospitals are handing out these questionnaires. And
Mm-hmm.
the reason why is because doctors were getting a lot of people with diabetes, high blood pressure, and I think there's a heart disease, and medication was not working for them.
Mm-hmm.
So they said, what's going on? Well, they started asking those questions and seeing that a lot of their patients, what they needed is someone to talk to. Medication and therapy, it shows that it works better than just
Yeah.
medication alone. So it,
Right.
it, it helps people understand, about feelings, how your thoughts can make you feel a certain way and behave. So it's kind of that process, the way you think, your thoughts, how you feel, and then you behave a certain way. So, this, if you go here in the city, in the LA County, most likely you will be able to get these questionnaires.
Yeah. And, I know that people may be seeing this live, on a TV or even on your cell phone or, on a tablet. But I just kind of wanted to go over a little bit of what it says. And so bear with me as I kind of read it out a little bit to you all.
Mhm.
But it just says our relationships and experience, even those in childhood, can affect our overall our health and well-being. Difficult childhood experiences are very common. Please tell us whether you've had any of the experience listed below. So some of the experiences, and there's 10 questions, and it's just like, number one is, did you feel that you didn't have enough to eat, had to wear dirty clothes, or had no one to protect or take care of you? Number two, did you lose a parent through divorce, abandonment, death, or other reason? Number three, did you live with anyone who is depressed, mentally ill, or attempted suicide? Did you live with anyone who had a problem with drinking, using drugs, including prescription drugs? Number five is, did your parents or adults in your home ever hit, punch, beat, or threaten to harm each other? So there's a whole list of 10. You can actually, I'm going to go ahead and share the link really quick. Let me go ahead and take this off the screen. And you can get all the details here at others.Our. .org. And, we are so committed to making sure this information is just out there because, again, Yeni, I'm so sorry, is, licensed marriage family therapist who focuses on childhood trauma, and she understands the capacity in which we go through stress, which then can lead to anxiety, or even lead to depression. And so that's something we're going to dive into next. But it's, again, we wanted to share this and she was passionate about it. I was like, yes, absolutely. It was our first time sharing a slide on our live. So that was kind of cool. So how did you all like that? Let us know in the comments. But if there's something that you have as far as questions, please ask. We want to be able to support you where you're at. And this is why these live shows and these topics are brought to the forefront, because it is needed, the overall mental well-being of the world, right? So understand that you're not alone. You never were alone. And there's so many people out here that want to support you. All right. So thank you, Yeni, for breaking that down and helping us understand that a bit more, because I took the quiz last night when her and I were going through it. And I was like, I have 5. I was like, do you know what I mean? And so again, whether you have 1 to 10, understand that regardless, there's somebody there that wants to support you. There's somebody you definitely need to reach out to. So it's like, it's just the severity of where you're at in your life. Did you ever experience any of that? And she's saying from 6 to 10, you definitely need to really seek that professional help. So sorry. We start to see this show up in our lives as we get older. Why am I being affected? Why is there depression? Why is there somebody near and dear to me experienced depression for their very first time at the age of 65? I had depression at the age of 40, right before 40. I was going to be 40. And then I experienced again at 43. So it's like, understand that it's okay to not be okay, but you got to do something about it. You know what I mean? Just know that there are people here to support you. Okay, so I know that there's just so much we want to share, but we want to dive into the next topic that really, stems from, the childhood trauma. And that leads into the stress and, the overwhelm, right? That can then lead to anxiety. Raise your hand if you've ever experienced anxiety. Raise your hand. Raise your hand if you ever experienced depression. Yep. Okay, just 2 phenomenal women who have stepped into their power, knowing that what we've been through, we can then share, with other women and empower them. So, all right, Yeni, we're going to go into this. We're going to dive into how much stress is affecting people, affecting women, and how it's leading to anxiety, or depression. So if you want to share a little bit about that, or, obviously not a little bit, but I know this is your forte, because if you don't know already, she's has multiple certifications. And if I gave you the list, you'd be like, oh my goodness. She just keeps learning. She is a learner, people. She wants to go out there and make sure you're living your best life. So she keeps getting certified in all things, domestic violence, mental well-being. I mean, she's like, I gotta actually pull up that list because I'm just like insane. Anger management, emotional intelligence, stress management, theta healing, Reiki master, and that last one I can't pronounce.
Oponopono?
Ho'oponopono. What is
Yes.
that?
That is a modality, a Hawaiian modality that uses, and I was just doing it. Like it
Of course.
has, I was, oh, I haven't done that, but it's like, I have it here. Here, see? But it's in Spanish. I love
Okay.
myself. I forgive myself. I'm sorry and thank you. Those are the five phrases that when we feel really bad about what we are experiencing, we kind of
Mm,
get in ourselves and says, I'm sorry. I'm just, you just are within you and said, I'm sorry. Please forgive me. Thank you. I love you. And you're telling that to yourself repeatedly over and over. That is the main, there's a lot more to Ho'oponopono, but that is those five phrases that it calms you down. And I use it often. It's like, and I do it physically too. Like I rub myself, like, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. Thank you. I love you. And that would just calm yourself down. It's a way of letting things go, that everything is going to be okay. And I teach that to my clients when they're in a depressed
mm,
mood, where they can, just tell yourself, I'm sorry. And you're not even thinking about that it's you. It could be anybody that you're saying. But the
mm,
fact that you're touching yourself, it's kind of like I'm telling myself that. Even
mhm.
if you're thinking about someone else, but you just saying it to yourself, like, I'm sorry.
Yeah,
I'm sorry. And
that's
sometimes
amazing.
people just stay there, I'm sorry. And then please forgive me. Thank you. I
Yeah,
love
because
you.
there's even modalities where you're talking to your inner child and you're
Yes.
telling your inner child just, that everything's going to be okay. You're sorry for not protecting them when they were younger. You're sorry for, you know what I mean? So it's really having that conversation with yourself, and just forgiving. And like, one of our past shows talked all about forgiveness. And it's like forgiving starts from within, and
Yes.
you get to forgive so many people so that you get to release all of the hurt and all of the pain. And
Yeah.
so yeah, so I mean, we broke down all the things she is certified in and things. And so yes, so she's going to be sharing how like stress basically comes up, right? Stress, and then what it leads into anxiety. Because when I experienced anxiety for the very first time, I had no idea
Mm-hmm.
the capacity that it affected my nervous system. It was like, I know that everybody experience it, it almost felt like a like because there's a difference between anxiety or an anxiety attack and a panic attack.
Mm-hmm.
And I kid you not, I thought I was just going through both. I don't know, but my body just like was shaking, and I was just like, the breathing went really fast, and I was like, literally had to calm myself down.
Yeah. Everybody experience anxiety a little bit different, but it's a lot of worry about the future.
Hmm.
The best way to explain it is anxiety is worry about what's going to happen in the future. Depression, it's thinking about what happened to you,
Hmm.
and you stay in that.
Hmm.
And when that's the reason why they said staying at the present moment is the best.
Yeah.
Grounding. When I have clients, I teach them how to ground themselves. Look around and see, uh, like count different frames that you have at home. Washing your hands with cold water. That way, their mind brings them to the present.
Mm.
Because if you're depressed, you're too much in the past. If you're anxious, you're too much in the future. And of course, we need a balance. I cannot tell you, oh, I never go back in think about the past. No, it's my past, and I need to own it and be okay with it. And of course, there's times that I worry about the future. Everything that is going around, yeah, it's normal. But how much time are we spending in the past or in the future?
Right.
That's the question that each of you should answer. How much? Am I more in the present or more in the past or more in the future? And that's when you're going to decide, oh, no, I have a little bit more anxiety than depression. But not all stress is bad. Look, if positive stress, we can say that, okay, we have a test coming up, and it's going to give you a certain adrenaline rush because you need to study, or you're moving homes. Even if you like are so prepared, you're buying a new home and you're so excited to get a new, there's going to be somewhat of stress. So that stress, we can say, well, it's positive stress. It's for a brief period of time that we need to give you that little push. Terrible stress, it's like when we are okay, is where someone it's in traffic. We can still tolerate that stress. When we're in traffic, you at that point, if you see that you're getting stressed often during traffic, you need to seek help to see why.
Mm.
Because in reality, it's not the traffic; it's what
Right.
you're thinking. And we say, "Oh, the traffic is the one that is making me stressed." No,
Mm.
it can't. I'm sorry. It's what are you thinking? I want to go home. I want to be home. I won't make it to a soccer practice of my child. That's what's making you stress, what you're thinking, not traffic. But it's still, you can still manage that. Toxic stress is when you go for days stressing out about something. It's not a transition stress, but it's something that is constant, that you think about that. Traffic can become toxic stress if you don't take care of what's causing that stress. So that's how, we need stress. We all have stress, but then we can call it positive. Then that is that tolerance of stress that you can manage, but then is that toxic stress. We do not want to have a toxic stress.
Mm.
That's what's creating a lot of anxiety or depression. Depression and anxiety, it comes together, like it's back and forward in some cases, not all.
Yeah. So I think that's so profound as far as when you hit it on the nail about what anxiety really is. It's basically stress of something that, like a what if,
Mhm.
stress of the unknown, stress of the future, but you don't even know what it is, right?
Yeah.
And so, yes, I mean, like, and it's so funny because I remember the first time I ever heard that when I was in training, and I was like, I'm so sorry. Did I say stress? I meant anxiety. Is
Uh-huh.
anxiety is of the future, and I'm like, how am I anxious about the future? And then like, so I start kind of trying to like go back and what is making me anxious? Like, what is it that are on my thoughts right now that are making me anxious? And so I think that's just something that we all get to experience and understand where it's coming from, right? So stress leading into that anxiety because you're stressing over something constantly, and it's manifesting into that anxiety in your body.
Hmm.
And so how you react, some people get really bad and they get panic attacks. Oh my goodness, when was the last time it happened to me? And now I'm more able to control it because I know when it's happening. But I do it to myself, and I'm like, and I laugh because I'm like, Francine, really? Like, where did that come from? But I know how to work through it. I know how to process it. And so and if you haven't shared it, if I missed it, but what I do is I stop and I take 3 big deep breaths. Like, because okay, let me just share why it happens to me. People are gonna laugh. I tend to drink a little bit of coffee in the morning, and coffee for me gives me the jitters. So like I can only have so much caffeine. This is decaf, so I can only have so much. And so it heightens. So anytime I'm like doing this, doing that, and I'm just like, okay, I got this, I got that. And then I'm like, and then I feel my heart racing and I'm like, that's where people think they're having a panic attack or, things like that. And I go, stop. And I take 3 deep breaths and I blow it out really slow. And somebody taught me that a while back. And sure enough, it brings me down. It brings my calmness, my nervous system, everything down. And I'm just like, okay, I'm recentered. And so you got to really figure out what works for you. Like, do you need to go sit in meditation? Do you need to go grounding? And so a lot of people, some people may not know what grounding means. Like, you ground outside by walking on grass, walking on dirt. You got to connect to the earth in some way, right? And even me working with my coach, she's like, I go, how do I ground at home? And she goes, just sit in silence. And I was like, wow. For somebody that moves all over the place and runs 100 miles a minute, sometimes I'm just like, you want me to sit in silence and do nothing for 5 minutes? Like, it was really hard for me to meditate for the longest time because I was like, so anyways, I just had to share that because again, some of you may relate, some may not, and just, know that balance.
Yeah, no, definitely. Grounding is different things, sitting at your room and look for different colors. It's something that it's gonna bring you back to the present moment. Um, it could be looking at outside the window and just
Yes.
focusing, looking at if you go outside, how many cars you see, how many blue cars. So it's just focusing on the moment, grounding, just different grounding techniques.
I love that because one of the things that my mom and I do is we both have iPads and we like to color.
Hmm.
So we have these we Apple Pen and we just color and I'm just like, man, I remember as a kid I used to love coloring, like coloring books, and I would like outline it. And
Hmm.
so I don't do it as often anymore, but it's funny that you just get to color, you get to draw, or you get to write. That's why so many people say journaling is important, because you get to just sit there and just let out whatever it is you're holding on to, you know
Yeah, but yeah, journaling is good. It's still, you're using a lot of sensory. You're
hmm
touching the pen, the paper. You're focusing. Um, you're thinking and letting it go. So it's
Yes,
just different. Yeah.
absolutely. And I am definitely going to throw in spirituality because I'll sit with my Bible. I'll sit in Bible study with my girls. I will do all things spiritual. And I just feel, oh, thank you,
Hmm.
Lord. I'm so at peace. You know what I mean? And it's like, and it's funny because I'm reading a book right now that's called The Life of Jesus, the greatest book of all time, or something like that. And I'm like, I usually have it next to me. But in there, it talks about, why are you stressed? Why are you overwhelmed? Why are you, why are these things affecting you when God gives you so much peace? And I'm just like, thank you for that reminder. Because again, we're humans. We always go back to our human ways, because that's what we were conditioned to do, But he basically tells us, give your burdens, to him, and he will remove that peace. And so yeah, I'm just like, okay. So whatever works for you, do it. We are going to beat it into you, right, Yeni? We're gonna beat it into them. They gotta
Yeah.
do what works for them.
Yeah, find something that makes you feel comfortable, that you're gonna do not only one time, but it's gonna
Right.
become a habit. And
Mhm.
sometimes, when the habit is created, it's interesting because I can stop for about 3 weeks, but then I automatically go back because my body needs it. Like something would happen in my body that it will remind me that, oh my God, I need to do this because that helps me. It's so important. If you I don't take an hour meditating. I take 10 minutes every morning. And there's different type of meditation. I was just talking to one of my clients. I don't call my patients. They're my clients. It's just the way I refer to them. So I feel that they have the power, not me. And patient is like they're sick. Well, they're not sick. They're just having a rough time right now. That's it. So I every time I talk about my patients, it's actually clients. When I talk about my clients, they're my patients. But yeah, I was talking to her and I said, look, there's different type of meditation because she said I'm having a hard time, and I was like, take 5 minutes, and she said, oh, I go to sleep when I meditate, and I was like, take a nap, take a 30-minute nap. Your subconscious is still working. If you put a guided meditation, your subconscious is still working. So do it. Don't be so strict. Little by little, you're going to get there. Have those 10 minutes. Just stay still and just focus on your breathing. That's it. She's like, 10 minutes. Okay, let's try for 5. And then you continue. But just be in that moment. Ask your body, where does it hurt? Do I feel uncomfortable? My back? My neck? I don't know, my head, where, and through that conversation, trust me, those 5-10 minutes are gonna pass by really fast. So it's just that communicate with your body, connect with God. You know, during meditation, you can just have that connection that is just amazing. So there's different ways to meditate, and you need to kind of set the intention. What is it that I want out of this meditation? I want to relax. I want to have an answer. So you're going to talk to God, talk to the energy, however you call it. It's you with you and the energy and God. So there's different ways to meditate.
I'm laughing over here because so the way I connect with God and the way He speaks to me is through humor. And so anytime I go into meditation, I'm like, okay, God, I'm here. What do you got for me? God. And my body's like, "Do-do-do-do-do," and He's like, be still. Okay. It's really hard for me because I'm just like, do, 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 do,
Yeah.
do. And your friend is absolutely right. Like I fall asleep too. So then like that's why like I when I want to talk to him, when I want to hear from him, I don't like to go into meditation because then I'm like too relaxed. And then I'm like, but I can't hear you. But you're right, because the subconscious mind is always working. So I will still receive, but my conscious mind is trying to control it. Well, you're not going to receive it. And then, yeah. So I just think that's so funny that you brought it back to that. But yeah, so again, whatever works for you. I like me personally, I have to listen to music, read my Bible. And I know it's crazy because I hear it's music in my head. And then I start to get downloads, as far as like me speaking with him. And so, yeah, it's just whatever works for you, however you connect is something that is needed in your life if you're not doing so yet. So, okay, so I want to really touch on the whole component of depression. And so whether it's anxiety or depression, but I know we didn't focus a lot on the depression part. Can you share a little bit more about how, what are those steps that people can work on to get themselves out of that? So if they're heading into depression, what does that look like for them? I think I would love for you to share what depression looks like, because so many people have never experienced it. And for people that have, can relate. And so for those that are watching that maybe they know somebody who may be experiencing it, first of all, what does it look like? And then what can they do to get out of it? Or what can they do to support someone to get out of it?
Um, one major thing, and especially with teenagers, is that they get irritated for anything and everything. That irritability is really high. So if I see someone that is constantly irritated about everything in their life, that's a red flag. Something it's not right. Another thing is people that are overly negative about life, and those two things will push a lot of people away. And it's like, oh my god, how? Because I have family members come to my office and say, how do I help? And I said, you're already taking the first step. You're coming to me. Because if you tell someone to go to therapy and they don't think they have an issue, just because they're upset all the time or they are negative, people are not going to come and see a therapist. They've lived through their life or a long time that way, so it's second nature to them. I'm okay. So the family, whoever is closer to that person, needs help, and that way we can give them techniques of how to help that person. Maybe not take it so personal, because don't take everything so personal. People around those people take everything personal, and there's just the way they are. So those are two things that we don't see as depression: people getting upset easily and people being overly negative. I am not overly positive, because that too can ring a bell. It's like, why is that person so overly positive in front of others? Is she or he hiding something? Just explore a little bit, ask more questions, just be there. Because I don't think anybody overly positive or overly negative, it's okay. We need a little bit of both. We need to see things the way they are. um, those are three things. uh, and then when people are already in depression, they tend to stay away. They want to sleep more, or they can't sleep, hard time falling asleep or staying asleep. Um, when it's major depression, they have a hard time taking a shower, they don't eat, or they overly eat. So it's those streams, it's they stop or they overeat. And anxiety too, and that's what I'm saying, they overlap. If you're anxious, you're gonna overeat. So those are just the little things that you can do to see who might need help. But once again, if you're close to someone with those symptoms, who needs help is the person next to them, close to them, not the person that is experiencing those symptoms, because most likely they're not going to come.
Mhm. Yeah. Wow, that is so needed. And it's good because that's a great support system to have, to really understand that, you know, they get to seek out that advice or that, understanding, because you're right. I mean, so many people take it personally. And, I remember going through that experience too. And I'm just like, wow, everything bothered them. And, but yeah, I mean, when they're able to realize that it is them, as far as like, sorry, what they need, to take control of their own well-being, um, you ultimately got to allow, like, let them choose, right? Let them be the one to say, okay, I need help. Because when someone is on the outside, trying to support someone who is going through that, anything they say or do is going to be irritation for that person, right? And so, yeah, so it's kind of allowing them to, and one thing I highly recommend is, don't let it be from a parent, because what I always say is they become parent deaf. Like, if there's something I want my son to know, I will tell somebody else, can you tell my son XYZ because this girl don't listen to me? You know what I mean? So like you need to bring in like, let's say you have you're friends with a therapist. Let's say you're friends with, a coach, a mentor, and having that person around and just kind of sharing, oh yeah, I think would really support you. If it's coming from somebody else and not a direct family member, they're more willing to receive it.
Yeah.
Just sharing.
Yeah.
So yeah, but thank you so much for sharing all that. I truly appreciate you. So we're going to go ahead and share with you all. My internet cut me off earlier, so I hope it didn't affect our live too much. But I want to share how you can get in touch with Yeni. Thank you so much for being our guest today, for sharing such an impactful presentation about childhood trauma and how it really, stems from an early childhood, and how it's affecting us in our lives today. But what we get to do and become empowered as adults, to not be a victim to it. And then how we can support others, right? So I'm so glad that you touched in on, not being overly supported or just trying to kind of guide and not being overly happy about it, right? Just like overly bubbly. It's just to kind of allow yourself to sit in their space and just listen. So yeah, I think that's so profound. Okay, so to get a hold of Yeni, you can definitely call her. That's always the easiest, right?
Yes.
Can they text you?
Yes, text is better because sometimes I'm with clients. So
With
text.
clients?
Yeah.
Yes. Okay, perfect. So text her at 562-334-2023. You can also visit her website at yen-wellness.com. You can find her on social media at Yen Wellness on both Facebook and Instagram. And lastly, definitely go get her book. It's on Amazon. I'm going to buy it today. I am Marlene, Healing Your Inner Child. So thank you so much, everyone, for coming, for sharing. Again, leave your comments. Let us know what it is you'd like to know, because we want to respond to you. You're more than welcome to reach out to her directly. If you want to DM me, excited to hear from you. But remember, if you want to get a hold of me, you want to get a hold of our team and connect with what we're doing, then definitely reach out at francinaayala.com/meant for more. And I don't have it on the screen, but that's okay. So francinaayala.com/meant for more. And you can definitely connect with me so that we can help you in your journey as well. So thank you. Again, stay tuned for next Wednesday as we bring another empowered guest, and hope you all have a beautiful day. Go out there, be amazing, step into your power because you were meant for more. See you soon.
I want to get to know what you do, what inspires you, what you enjoy.
My ability to lead really impacts women on a larger level, because not every woman has the same story or the same journey. So understanding where they've come from and where they want to go helps me be the leader that I can, so that I can show up in a space of authenticity for them.